Discover is no longer my home. I don't have a job. Finally, Richard Rawlings is not guilty as many people said before. The star of Fast and Loud says he's been hiding a dark secret that explains everything, like why his marriages ended and why Discovery really killed his show. Now that he's 55 years old, he's ready to tell the truth about that $6 million court case. We promise it's much worse than you thought. He was born in a poor part of Fort Worth, Texas on March 30, and his birthday is March 30. He used to really enjoy cars a lot before he became well known on TV and important in the car business. One of his oldest pictures shows him as a proud little boy riding a Volkswagen Beetle that he pushed along with his feet. It wasn't just a toy. It showed what was going to happen. Richard did something different on Saturday mornings than most kids did. When most people in the city were still asleep, and go deliver newspapers. Along dark streets, they would roll up stacks of papers and leave them on porches. After school in the afternoon, Richard did the same thing again. On the weekends, he would ride his bike from house to house to make money. It wasn't just the money that stood out during those rounds, it was also the cars. It got his attention to all of them. He knew each house's car's year, make, and type. Many of his clients were amazed at how much he knew. His simple answer was always, "I ride by your house twice a day, most days of the week. How wouldn't I know what's in your driveway?" His dad worked 2 or 3 jobs, but he always made sure he had a car or motorcycle for himself. He learned his lesson and kept that one toy as a reward. From what he saw, Richard learned that getting what you want takes work. Richard was 14 years old when he got his first car. It was green and came from 19. There was money in his pocket from years of delivering newspapers. He used that to pay for it. A lot of kids couldn't wait to turn 16, but Richard was already driving. He did it anyway, even though he knew he shouldn't. That Comet said something. It wasn't just a ride. He would do donuts on the tires and in the school parking lot just to show what it could do. Even though it's a gross green color, his friends are still talking about it. It seemed like the coolest car that had ever been made. Things moved quickly after that. He was already on his 3rd car that school year. This time it was a Black Bandit Trans Am from 1977. At Eastern Hills High School, people called him the car guy because his car looked like something from Smokey and the Brandy. But it wasn't just to show off. The process of buying, fixing, and selling cars is known as flipping. Before he graduated, he had already flipped 20 different cars. He didn't guess that's how he made more money than most kids do with part-time jobs. He knew how to find deals, make them even better, and get people to pay more than he did. That was the base for everything that came after it. In the early 1990s, when Rawlings was only 22, he had to deal with something much worse. He was driving a 1965 Ford Mustang 2+2 Fastback, a muscle car with the shape that all car owners dream of. Someone stole his car one night as he drove through a rough area near Oakland Boulevard in Fort Worth. They tried to take him out of the front seat. Richard fought back. A bullet went through his shoulder and down his left arm during the fight. Achieved. He could have stopped caring about cars for good, but it made him more determined. That was before the garage, the tattoos, or the fame. Richard had 3 different looks from 1988 to 1990. He was a police officer, a firefighter, and a nurse before he turned 21. His dad always told him, get a good job with benefits, be loyal, and retire with a gold watch. Richard paid attention at first. When he brought Miller Lite to a nearby bar in 1988, everything changed. He thought the old friend who asked him what he was going to do with his life was just another drunk person. The idea of becoming a police officer interested Richard, but he said he couldn't pay for school. Guy looked at him and said, "Damn it, I'm the mayor of that city." In 17 days, Richard got into the North Texas Police Academy. In Alvarado, he worked as a police officer. In Capel, he was a fire crew member. He was good at many things and could keep calm when things went wrong. He would later use those skills to deal with business problems when they came up. It was time for a change when he was 25. He sold everything he owned and then bought a Jeep. He planned to start something new when he went to California. Back then, he didn't have any tattoos or piercings. After 6 months, he was broke, had tattoos and pierced ears, and didn't have a Jeep. It was taken back by the bank, and he was sleeping on the couch of his sister. He didn't break at that low point. It made him stronger. He decided it was time to go into business for himself, so he opened Lincoln Press in a company in Dallas made things and put up ads for them. He knew a bit about branding, but not much about printing. To get started, he got a small business loan for $100. Lincoln Press did really well in just 5 years. It was 2004, and the company made its first $1 million sale. He gave the customer a Lamborghini Gallardo. That trick worked. The company kept growing. In the end, he sold it. With the money from that sale, he was able to follow his real dream, which was to buy cars. When Richard Rawlings opened Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas in 2002, business didn't really take off. The store was not very big,
The money from the sale of his old business, Lincoln Press, was used to build it. It didn't even have running water or air conditioning. Things began badly. However, Rawlings did not have the means to do what he wanted to do. He was still sure about what he was doing, so he took his small group on the road and went to car shows, trade shows, and more all over the country. Anything was done to get Gas Monkey's name out there. He and his friend Dennis Collins set out to do the famous Cannonball Run in May 2007. In 1979, 32 hours and 51 minutes was set as the previous record. That's how long it took to drive from New York City to Los Angeles. It had been almost 30 years since the record had been played. Rawlings and Collins decided to give it a try in May 2007. For the Bull Run drive from Montreal to Key West, they didn't go the way they were supposed to. They went straight for the record instead. They drove a Ferrari 550 Maranello that had been changed and given more gas tanks so they wouldn't have to stop as often. From New York City to the Portoino Inn in Rondo Beach, it only took them 31 hours and 59 minutes. They left at night. It was done. The previous high score of 87 had stood for 28 years, 6 miles per hour on a road that's 2,811 miles long. Some people didn't believe it at first. A lot of people had doubts about the route or compared it to the first runs, but the accomplishment was still impressive. It was risky, brave, and real enough for Jay Leno to give Rawlings a head nod. Most people didn't know how important that moment was to him. Jay Leno is more than just a car guy. A lot of old and strange cars are crammed into his garage. People in the business respect him a lot because he knows a lot about cars. When Leno told Rawlings he had broken the Cannonball Run record, he did more than just praise him. It was a clear sign that they agreed. He wasn't a well-known name in the car world until after Fast and Loud, but that nod from Leno made him look good. It was important to Rawlings to trust people. Gas Monkey had a hard time getting going from 2002 to 2000. He invested all of his money in the company. The garage where he worked didn't have running water, air conditioning, or even enough tools to get the job done. It was hard for him to find good workers and the right parts. He had to fight to keep the lights on some days. Every project had risks. You had to earn each customer. That's when Rawlings started to talk about his plan for the show. He didn't just want car fans to be able to fix their old cars. Families, kids, and anyone else who liked a good story with a lot of action were welcome. This did not bother networks, though. It looked like the idea was too narrow or dangerous. Until he got the chance, he kept pushing the brand by going to more car shows, talks, and dates with real people. Things got done, even though it took a long time. Gas Monkey was already a well-known name in the car world when Discovery finally said yes in 2012. The first episode of Fast and Loud aired on June 6, 2012. No one knew that it would make a Dallas garage famous all over the world. Everything revolved around Richard Rawlings. There was a time when he was just a guy running Gas Monkey Garage. More than 200 countries knew his face when the show first started. It was well-liked everywhere, not just in the U.S. 13 languages were used to translate the show. With that much fame, Rawlings became a big name in show business very quickly. His team looked for old cars that no one remembered. It was a simple but powerful idea. A lot of them were hurt or had trouble walking. They had to pay money to make the cars shine again. What made the show stand out, though, was its mood. But Fast and Loud was more general. Other shows were more dramatic or aimed at certain groups of people. According to Rawlings, it was something that both kids and grandparents could enjoy. He didn't need to make another car show. He wanted it to be exciting and fun, and he wanted everyone who watched it to feel welcome. Everything went as planned. A lot of people became hooked on the builds, the cars, and the fun. Once Rawlings used his fame to do more than just work on TV, things really turned around for him. Under the name Gas Monkey, he opened restaurants, clothing lines, energy drinks, tequila, vodka, and more. There was still a garage there, but something much bigger was built on top of it. By the year 2020, Rawlings had built a huge business empire. That was the end of the show on June 8, 2020, after 16 seasons and 155 episodes. But the brand was stronger than ever. Rawlings called the show a success, his cash money formula. The whole point was to buy and sell more. His search for old broken-down cars would take him all over the country. Then he would use tough talks and quick cash to get things done quickly. People would sometimes give him a lot of cash just to get them to agree right away. Whenever he had $5,000, he would say, "You can always buy a $10,000 car for $5,000. That wasn't just good TV. It was his real-life plan, and it worked. Building a Dodge Challenger was one of the best ways to show how the system worked. It cost him a little over $40,000. The business spent $77,000 to fix up the building and add new things to it. That was a $73,000 gain from just one flip. Plus, they were smart, spent their money wisely, and knew exactly what buyers wanted, so it wasn't just luck. Ready to take risks was another thing that made Fast and Loud stand out. He often bought cars that most people wouldn't touch, like ones that were rusty, had frame damage, or looked like they had been parked for decades. His own team didn't always agree with the decisions he made, but Rawlings saw potential where others didn't. He once bought a big car for $400,000. After the last owner broke it, it had a lot of technical issues, but Gas Monkey Garage fixed it. When the car was sold after being fixed up, it brought in a lot of cash. That type of risky bet became a part of the show's style. Not only were these old rusty cars there for looks, but they also gave the show more drama and depth. Every car that was fixed up had a story to tell, and issues that needed to be fixed. It was clear that the changes took a lot of time, money, and work. Some builds took longer than planned, or didn't go as planned. It was fun that some cars didn't make money. People saw the risks and benefits of the business side of restoring cars. Fast and Loud turned into one of the most watched reality shows on Discovery Channel over time. There were 8 years of episodes. From June 2012, they showed builds, flips, and crazy road trips. By season 4, the show was really going strong. There were tight schedules, problems that appeared out of the blue, and last-minute fixes that had to be made, which all added to the stress. People who were watching never knew if the team would finish the car on time or if the deal would fall through. People were interested because there was a balance of stress and reward. But in 2020, Rawlings made a big choice. He said that the Joe Rogan Experience was no longer his job with Discovery. It had to do with power. He didn't want his responsibilities to stop him from being creative and hold him back from what he could do next. Leaving the network was risky, but it also opened up new doors for me. From then on, he's kept building his brand through YouTube, new media projects, and the growth of Gas Monkey Garage. In 2013, Richard Rawlings decided to add things other than cars and engines to his brand. He was already well known in the auto industry. He opened the first Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in northern Dallas in September of that year. It was built where the old Firewater Bar and Grill used to be. It was 19,000 square feet. It wasn't just a restaurant. It had style, and was also a bar and a place to hear music. He made sure that the place, which could hold up to 1,200 people, was run by people who had done it before. He was hired as general manager to run the business. Alex Mendonça had been in charge of the House of Blues in Las Vegas. David Hollister was hired to make changes to the food in the kitchen. It wasn't just quiet when the club first opened. 2 days before it opened to the public, the American rock band Old 97s put on the first live show there. The place had style and life from the start. By March 2014, the business was ready to grow. When he opened a second Gas Monkey Bar and Grill, this time in Terminal D of Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, he did the right thing. They now had a place in one of the country's busiest airports, where people could get food, listen to music, and try their brand. There was even talk of a third site outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He wasn't just wasting time, he was making something. The bar and grill had more than just food. It turned into a party spot where people could enjoy music, cars, and nightlife. They took things to the next level in October of that year. He opened Gas Monkey Live next to the first bar and grill. It was 38,000 square feet big, which means it could hold 3,000 people. Before Rawlings bought it, it was Toby Keith's I Love This Bar and Grill. He turned it into a real music hall, where big shows with lots of people can happen. Big names in punk rock, Social Distortion, played on the first night. After that, big bands and other well-known events began to visit the space. One of the most talked about events ever happened in November 2. They played a free show there as part of their All Bad Things Must End tour. The event was called Dodge Rocks Gas Monkey, and some people couldn't make it. People who owned Dodge cars were the only ones who could get in. There was more than just a concert. The Charger SRT Hellcat and the Challenger SRT Hellcat, two of Dodge's newest cars, were on display. Speed, sound, and show all came together all night. On top of that, Gas Monkey Live was the place where private events, VIP parties, and business meetings took place. It was easy to use for more than just music because it had green rooms and a lot of rooms of different sizes. The venue had a hard time even though it did well. Gas Monkey Live will end in May 2020. Too much money was lost because of the COVID-19 outbreak to keep going. Rawlings' brave journey into live theater ended with the closing, but that didn't stop him from wanting to do great things. In 2014, Gas Monkey Live held its first event. In the same year, Dodge made Rawlings their national spokeswoman. His face was everywhere all of a sudden. He talked about how fast and stylish the Dodge was while driving it in ads. Many people knew him from the movie Fast and Loud. Now he was helping Dodge sell cars all over the country. One of the best times they worked together was when Dodge Rocks Gas Monkey played at his own venue. That one night, his love of cars, his music room, and a well-known brand all worked out just right. Jeep was able to connect with car fans, and Rawlings was known all over the country. When it came to cars, he kept getting stronger. In 2019, he did something else. He started drinking energy drinks. He didn't make his own, though. Instead, he licensed the Gas Monkey brand, which let him keep control of the look without having to pay for production. It was the right choice. There were two kinds of Gas Monkey energy when it first came out, normal and light. Like how Rawlings felt about everything he did, the brand was all about speed, power, and fun.
By January 2025, the company had added a third flavor called Tropical. It had love fruit, pineapple, lemon, honey, and monkey fruit in it. It also did not have any high fructose corn syrup or extra sugar. Rawlings pushed a life that was brave, quick, and clean. The drink went well with that. It was possible to buy the drinks in stores and online. They also went to big car races, like the NH races and the Indianapolis 500. Richard Rawlings has always gone fast. His work got big engines and made him a TV star, but his personal life was better. Richard got married for the first time, a long time before Fast and Loud and Gas Monkey Garage made him famous. It was 1993. He wasn't sure yet what his place was in the world of cars. Karen Kay, she was his first wife, greaves into his life in those early uncertain times. That year they got married, but it didn't last. By 1994 they were no longer married. They were married for not long. Not yet. There wasn't any fame, fans, or attention. He was only young and had a dream. His marriage ended before it even began. Karen didn't get much attention, and their short relationship never made the news, so not many people know much about her. But that was just the first of many breakups. It showed how hard it was for Rawlings to balance work and family life. When people were pushed to make something big, something had to give. That something kept giving, especially in the years that followed. In 1999, he tried again, this time with Suzanne Marie Morel. In Las Vegas, the wedding happened at the same time that Rawlings started working on Gas Monkey Garage. Even though things were getting better at work, they were still stressed about their love lives. His business grew quickly, and he took a lot of trips. They were no longer together after 10 years. In 2009, they broke up. Most people would have thought that was the end of their relationship, but Richard and Suzanne had a strong one. In 2015, 6 years after they broke up, they got back together. While they were in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, they decided to get married again. A second chance after years of growing and changing seemed like a good chance, but it didn't last. He told the public again, this time on Twitter, in March 2019, that he and Suzanne were breaking up. It was sent on March 11, 2019. It was straight and strange. He told them that places like TMZ already knew, but he wanted to tell his fans himself. He said that everyone agreed on the choice. After being together on and off for more than 20 years, he still loved Suzanne, but they were no longer together. Getting a second divorce was easy. Suzanne got some money as payment, and then left. He split the $300,000 between her two accounts. She still had her Mercedes SL 450 Roadster with her as well. Richard liked the time they spent together, no matter what. He said they had something in common, even if it didn't last. Someone has been married twice and split up twice. It showed how hard it was for him to keep his personal and public life in sync. After that, Katerina Diason showed up. Her name was in the news for another reason. Darwin Diason is a rich man from Texas. He sold his business, Affiliated Computer Services, to Xerox for $6 billion. She was married to him before. Katerina had lived in that world for years, with private jets, fancy ships like Apogee, and so much money that it was hard to imagine. But things changed in her life in 2019. Suzanne began dating Richard soon after he broke up with her. Things moved quickly. On August 17, 2019, Richard asked her to marry him at the Tulum Resort in Mexico. He tweeted that he had found his true love and spread rose petals on the beach. They got married on June 28, 2020, in Key West, Florida. Because COVID-19 stopped the big wedding they were planning in Greece, the wedding was small. It was still a big deal, though. She used to be married to a billionaire, but now she's with a reality TV star. She seemed to like the big change. There was a big surprise in the world of hand-built cars in June 2018. The Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in Dallas sued its founder Richard Rawlings for slander and asked for $6 million. Fans and people who pay attention to Gas Monkey were shocked. The claim said Rawlings was dishonestly trying to get away from his business partners by not honoring his contracts. It had a lot of information and was 47 pages long. It said that things were not going well between them as early as May 2013, before the bar even opened. An ex-worker named Tim Hinkhouse said in an email at the time that Rawlings was awful to building workers. He even said he was like a 13-year-old who has too many nice things. People say that Rawlings wasn't allowed to be on the building site anymore because things got so bad. That part said a lot. He and the team were already having a bad time. Things didn't get better when the bar opened later in 2013. The case says Rawlings kept showing up when no one had asked him to, which annoyed the staff and made them feel like they didn't have a say in what was happening. It made the place of work risky. So many things went wrong that it broke in 2015. An important email from Rawlings to Daniel Flitty, the bar's senior member, said that important financial records had been lost. Rawlings said no when Flitty asked him to come look at the records in person. He replied that he didn't think the records existed at all. It would be bad if that claim came true because it sounds like theft or fraud. Flitty replied to Rawlings in writing on July 18, 2015, letting him know that he was always welcome to look at the books. That text was used as important proof in court. At the end, Rawlings said he was sorry for what he did, and that he did it because he was drunk. On the other hand, Flitty and the rest of the team were already hurt. People who worked with and supplied Rawlings were told not to do business with him because of what he did in the lawsuit. It said that what he said in public hurt the bar's reputation and made it harder to run the business. Things were still not right. He stepped in again in 2017 when someone tried to buy the Gas Monkey bar name. The deal fell through when he made more claims of bad money management. That event turned out to be another important part of the case. He fought back in 2019 after that. March 28 at 2:15 p.m. He sued them for $1 million after they stole his work. He said that after their deal was over, the bar kept using the Gas Monkey name and pictures. His team told him that the licenses had expired at the end of 2018 and hadn't been renewed. The name was still used at the bar, though. Rawlings claimed that his brand was being used to promote sexy and inappropriate events made people even more angry. His words meant harm to his name and his ideas. It had been about a month since Rawlings told the bar not to use the name in a letter on February 25th. They were given 10 days. When they didn't do what they said they would do, he filed a countersuit. He asked for $1 million because licensing cost him money and the Gas Monkey brand's worth dropped. At the time, there were already rumors. Some said the bar wasn't making enough money. One of its sister clubs, Gas Monkey Live, had closed. In order to protect his reputation, Rawlings was thought to have kept himself away from a ship that was sinking. This court case interested both people who like cars and people who study the law. The fight between Rawlings and his ex-partners became a public scandal, but Rawlings was already moving on. A show called Monkey Trap took its place after Fast and Loud, and he could talk to his friends there. People from all walks of life came to visit too. One of them was Cord Newman, a stuntman from Hollywood. He is famous for setting himself on fire at a show. Talks and stories from behind the scenes were both on the show. In this way, Rawlings could stay in the news. After that, the cars showed up. It was brave of Rawlings to do something in September 2023. Through Bring a Trailer, he sold almost 30 cars that he owned. Sales came to 1,809. A very rare 1993 Toyota Supra went for $121,000. A 1962 Chevy Corvette for $60,000, and a $75,000 1965 Ford Mustang Fastback Code. In that order. At the sale, that Supra made the most money. He said that his choice was a shift in direction. He wants to stop collecting what he called beer budget cars, and start buying expensive cars from Europe instead. He also held a sale for a Gas Monkey garage event to help a good cause. It brought in $16,500 for the Gas Monkey Foundation. Rawlings started putting his collection back together again once he had money and a place to store it. The man said he would be interested in Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and old European cars. Those from the 1980s and 1970s interested him the most. Buying 5 Ferrari Testarossas in Ireland was one of the best times of his life. At SEMA 2023, one of them stood out because it had been changed into an electric car. He had already put more than $1 million into his new plan by the start of 2024. He changed more than just the car he drove. He changed everything about himself. His story goes from being about a messy case to a bunch of expensive Ferraris as it goes on. Richard Rawlings is always in the news, whether you like him or not.